Hey, do you smell that? No, it doesn't smell like Teen Spirit. No. It smells like Cosmere Chronicles! The podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we happen to be covering Elantris Chapters 36 through 44. And now, I'm going to throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Why, thank you, Joe. Yep, as he said, this is Cosmere Chronicles. It's also known as the show that you get when you add a squared plus b squared.
I don't like that one. I don't want to be known as that. People will call me a nerd.
I think it sounds
this
cool.
This show's also the show that is the answer to the Pythagorean theorem.
Oh God, how far are you going to go with this?
All the way.
One more, but I have to do
We
another
don't
thing that
do
can go along
math
with it.
here.
But I'd have to do some research, so maybe for next week.
Yes, look forward to that. I know that's why you're here.
Well, we can't give it all away right away.
True, yeah. Join our OnlyFans for that answer.
Joe, and I'm joined once again by Justin and Sheta. How are you two doing this Wednesday afternoon?
Yep, Wednesday afternoon. Dandy as candy.
Oh, Wednesday?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yes,
It's Wednesday.
It's great. Yeah, I'm doing
This is
great.
live.
If you're listening to this and it's not a Wednesday afternoon, you are obligated to stop the podcast and listen to it on Wednesday afternoon.
Yes.
Otherwise, the thought police will come after you.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Were you complaining about people calling you nerds when we were doing a podcast about fantasy series?
Yeah,
I don't want to be a math nerd, though.
Yeah, math nerds aren't cool. Fantasy series nerds are
Yeah, that's where it's at.
less cool.
Yeah, I'm not even smart. I just like dorky things.
Yeah. Well, that's what Milhouse says when Bart
Yeah.
somebody calls him a nerd. I'm not a nerd. Nerds are smart.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into our recap portion. So, Justin, it's your turn to recap what we went over last episode.
Last time. Jeez, I read like 50 chapters here. How am I supposed to go that far back? All right, well, Hrathen was praying. The king turned out to be a psychopath. Sarene is going to marry some old man. And Raoden is reading books. Yeah, I think that was everything covered.
I'm old man,
Yeah.
Justin.
Bill,
The
royal.
important thing is, did I cover everything?
I'd say the only part that you honestly missed was that everything went bad for Raoden in front of Sarene.
Oh, I thought that was the time before. There you go.
Nope.
That's an important part, too.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you did a fine job. You get a point of inspiration.
Yes!
Make sure you use it, because Sheta never used hers last week.
And they don't stack?
No. Or you can use it on ability checks or attack rolls.
All right. Look out, Sheta. Attack roll coming.
I didn't need to. I think I crit every time.
Did you guys have any quick thoughts on this group that we did this week?
Every time I was excited. Sweet! Time for a Hrathen Oh, it's over before I even finished the thought. I think that was the shortest chapter in the book so far.
I was just going to
These
say
are the
that,
chapters I was waiting for.
Yeah, I was going to say with Justin's point on the shorter chapters, overall I do like Elantris, but I feel like the strict 3-person way the chapters go, while it's fun at times, other times it's a clear weakness.
Well, I never have that. I don't ever have that feeling with Sarene or Raoden. They always do what I want. I just want a whole book about Hrathen, and I'm getting a page and a half.
Yeah, but I think the main thing is because they're like more of the focus of that stuff. He's like the antagonist, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like it's harder to have this stuff focused. Where at times it just feels like, all right, well, we have to have a Hrathen chapter here, so we'll put one here. But there is one in here that I honestly feel if you just cut it, then it wouldn't do anything. It's easily removable. And other ones you could combine too. Like I said, it's the 3-person thing. It is fun at sometimes, but other times it's not that good. And also, it could be part of early Sanderson writing. bet if he wrote something with that sort of structure now, it'd be a lot better than, his first published book.
Like I said, I got no complaints, except wanting to see more of my boy. But what you said about he's the, antagonist, I've been wondering since the start, because he is portrayed pretty layered, if he was going to wind up being outright antagonist, anti-hero, or even a protagonist. But I think we're starting to get that answer now. I'm really getting the feeling that we're getting that answer pretty hard in these most recent chapters.
All right.
I don't know if my theory's gonna be true, Justin.
That he'll declare his love for Sarene.
Yeah, I don't know. I still am
Starting to
holding out
lose
hope,
faith.
but yeah,
Yeah.
there was a point in which that would have happened, and I think that point has passed. That's all.
Yeah, Sheta, let me spoil it for you and say he
No,
doesn't.
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Joe
I'm
says
not
there's
even
a
gonna
lot
need
of
to.
books, so maybe it can still happen in a different book.
I mean, that could.
All right. Well, we'll go into chapter 36. So it begins with Hrathen. He's still inside Elantris. It's his 5th day since he was brought in there, and right now he's beginning to worry that Fortin messed up the potion and it's not going to fade away. So, and Hrathen, he becomes delirious because he's pretty much gone 5 days without water, and he starts to see Dilov, Sarene, and Yadith all just laughing at him.
Having him see those guys was one of the funniest parts.
His mind goes back, to memories from when he was at the Dakor monastery, and he has memories of cries of bestial agony mixed with solemn chanting that has a strange power to it. And Hrathen was kneeling in a... What?
I imagine that part sounds like in Team America when he has his flashback of the Cats actors.
No, it's the apes that killed his
Oh,
brother.
yeah, the apes. Yep. That's what I imagined that sounding like. Joe, if you could insert a little clip of that, that would be cool.
No, do not do that.
Do you realize how much more work that would be? I'd have to go find a clip, download it, put it into just audio, add it in, and then hope it doesn't get copyright struck later.
It'd be worth it.
I don't know about that.
All right. How about this? If anybody wants to know the reference, go watch Team America World Police.
Yeah, that'll work.
Preferably the extended cut. That way you can get more of the puppet sex scene.
Yep, only the extended cut.
Or unrated cut, whatever it's called in that one.
I think it's called Longer and Uncut.
No, that's South Park.
Okay.
The movie.
That was just the normal name of the movie.
Yeah, I know.
All right. But so, in Hrathen, when he was in Dakor, he was kneeling in a cell that was no larger than a closet. Yep, and Wrathborn Monastery trained assassins, Fjeldor Monastery trained spies, and Dakor Monastery trained demons. And then Hrathen, his delirium breaks a few hours later, and he finds that he has some stubble of hair on his head, and that his splotches are gone. Hrathen begins screaming that Yadith has healed him, but then he notices that all the guards on the wall are gone. He begins to worry that he's going to die from dehydration, even though his plan kind of worked. When then the gate opens and the captain of the guard, who Hrathen has been, bribing throughout this time, opens it. And he is shocked to see Hrathen is healed, and he takes him out of Elantris. So then Hrathen, he begins walking down the streets of Elantris towards his chapel, and crowds begin to form to watch him. He feels fulfillment when he notices Sarene looking at him out of a carriage. He feels that he had total and complete advantage now over her. When he arrives at the chapel, Hrathen proclaims that it was Yadith that healed him. He knows that the converts now will be stronger than any that had come before. Hrathen goes in the chapel and drops to his knees to pray to Yadith for giving him this plan and allowing him to fulfill it. When Dilov, enters the chapel later and sees Hrathen, he drops to his knees. He says that he had thought that Yadith had cursed Hrathen for his incompetence. Now Dilov sees that Hrathen's faith is much stronger than his. And when Dilov gets up to leave, Hrathen studies his eyes. There was respect in Dilov's eyes, but Dilov looked more confused than anything. Dilov was amazed and unsettled, but not pleased. Hrathen knows that the battle between them is not over.
It's interesting that I was really, really wondering how Dilaf would react here. So to have him openly say he believed his incompetence was what got him struck really shows that he really, truly believed that their god had gotten rid of him so Dilaf could take over. So it's really interesting to see when he returns how he, reacts.
Yeah, Dilaf's genuine, I think, in everything.
Mm-hmm. You never know with that guy, but yeah, seems that way.
Oh, Hrathen did say that he knows that their battle between the two of them isn't over.
Well, yeah. He still doesn't like the way he does things. And I think it
think
said
he's-
earlier in the... Oh, Sheta?
Oh, I just think he's waiting to see what Hrathen does next. That's all. Like if he's really changed or not,
Also, I believe it said earlier that ambition was a big part of this faith, so it would make sense that he would want to rise up as much as possible.
Right, so then Hrathen heads into his office and he finds, his stuff all in a corner, like it was about to get rid of it. And he goes to that and he finds the trunk that he keeps his Seon in, and the wooden trunk's lid was broken. But he pulls out the steel box inside, and it was covered in all sorts of scrapes and dents and everything, as if someone tried to break into it. He opens it, and inside all sorts of gears and stuff were broken, clear from somebody trying to force their way in. And the Seon tells him that nobody else had managed to open it. And Hrathen, on the inside, he finds that out of his 3 remaining potions, that 2 of them were broken, so he only has 1 left. So I guess we were wrong last week when we were saying that he only had 2 total.
Well, he does only have 2 total.
Yeah.
So we just predicted it.
And then Hrathen, he talks to a priest named Dothkin. Hrathen gives him the remaining potion and tells him who he wants to give it to. Dothkin has been trained at Rathborn Monastery, which, as we saw earlier, they train assassins. And Rathborn Monastery gives the priest there much more specialized training than Hrathen had received at the Gajan Monastery. And the Gajan Monastery is where Hrathen had gone to after Dakor just proved to be too much for him. And that's all for the Wraith chapter.
I imagine Dothkin is like a really swole priest because of his training. Just him standing there with huge arms.
Anything else in this chapter that you wanted to go over?
I wonder who tried to open the box.
I just imagine Dilaf scratching at it furiously.
Yeah, that's too obvious.
I don't think it's a big plot point, so I don't think it's too obvious.
Yeah. I think it's funny to imagine him going in there right after Hrathen got taken.
Yeah.
Just like looking through his stuff and being all sneaky and weird.
Yeah. I think so.
And here I still thought that he's gonna give the potion to Dilaf. So.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Dilaf is loyal now.
No, it's not.
And would one of the other priests really go and poison Dilaf?
Maybe.
Well, I certainly had a theory about who was going to get poisoned. I wonder if it turned out to be right.
So we'll go on to chapter 37. So Raoden, he's reading and studying when he has an attack of pain and he collapses. Eventually it subsides and Galadin and Karada are worried about him. Raoden tells him that he had a wave of pain, but Galadin says that is impossible. That the pain is constant. It doesn't come in waves. But Raoden says that it does for him. And Karada tells Raoden that when he collapsed, he was glowing. Galadin explains that some people are closer to the door than others. And back in old Elantris, there were some that were stronger and more intimate with the power. Raoden says that when the Raod happened, the most powerful Elantrians were the first to fall. Galadin suggests that they were overwhelmed by something. Raoden, he figures that the door will destroy him. It is a force that is attempting to break free. Even if his body isn't a viable passage, it won't stop trying, and that will eventually rip his soul apart, turning Raoden into Hoid. Raoden reminds Galadin and Karada about their oath to put him into the pool if he becomes a Hoid. And then Galadin suggests that...
I want to say, I thought it was interesting that when he brings that up and he feels like knowing that they would do that does give him some strength to go on. It was quite sad, I thought. Like, it really illustrates just how much pain he must be in.
Galadin, he suggests that maybe Raoden could be healed like the Yorn was. Raoden doubts that the Yorn was even healed. Raoden's theory that he comes up with is that, Hrathen got the Sheod, and then that Wyrn had Hrathen pulled out from the city, and then they are actually hiding away Hrathen while claiming that he was healed. That way they don't have the stigma of having a Yorn that was given the Sheod. And once again, another short chapter, so that's what we've got for chapter 37.
It's funny when a character is so logical and so wrong at the same time that even though I know that's not what happened, I feel like it is just because of how he described it.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Also, because if they did find out that somebody had been healed like that in there, that would be like the biggest news ever, They'd need to restructure everything, or he would need to restructure his whole thinking around that, So coming up with a way to just write it off and be like, nah, I don't think he was, I thought was pretty clever.
We'll just keep on moving on to chapter 38. So the chapter begins with Sarene, Lukel, and Shuden are watching Hrathen giving a sermon. And now Hrathen gathers such large crowds that he doesn't do the sermons inside the Derethi chapel anymore. They all believe that him getting the Sheod was a trick, but they don't know how he did it. They leave, and Sarene brings Shuden, Lukel, Eondel, and some of Eondel's guards to greet Sionlin. Sionlin?
I pronounced it Steinlin. Is that wrong?
Oh,
I have no idea.
It's
Elantris.
Yeah.
Silent.
Need to listen to the book. She'll know.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think it's Sinalin.
That makes more
I don't know
sense.
how it's spelled.
Not at all. That makes sense, but that's not.
I just know that at times, like Sanderson has said that like all the vowels get pronounced. So when you have like two in a row, that's Sinalin. We'll just go with that. But they go to greet him. He's the patriarch of the Karathi religion. And, Sarene feels like it is her duty to give the patriarch a better reception than she had gotten when she arrived in the city. When they meet him, he is annoyed that he is only greeted by a baron and a count, nobody higher ranked. Sinalin is around 40 years old, and he is very pretty. Like, Sarene has wished many times before that her hair was as fine as his. And so they leave, and he rides in his own separate carriage from everyone else. And Sarene tells, the other guys, Lukel, Shuden, and Eondel, about, how he became the patriarch. That 15 years ago, when Wolfden became the new Wyrn, that the leaders of the Shu Korath religion were threatened because he was so young and full of vigor. And so then when the old patriarch passed away, they decided to elect a patriarch as young, if not younger, than Wolfden. So that became Sinalin. Wolfden was said to be the most handsome man in Fjordell. Karathi leaders want somebody equally as impressive, so that's another reason why they picked him. But Lukel points out that handsome and pretty are very different things.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. I thought that was funny. The half the women will fall in love with them, half of them will be jealous with him line really described what he must look like.
And then Eondel warns them all that he is still the head of their religion, and Sarene, she agrees. Yeah, they kind of have to show him respect. And then we get over to the funeral, and because Royal is in charge of Ioden's funeral arrangements, since Ioden has no heir, and Eshin is completely unhinged after Ioden's disgrace and death, which kind of makes sense when you find out that not only is her husband dead, but before he died, he's been sacrificing people to a pagan religion for years.
It's funny how little time we spend on her reaction.
I like the other thing I think about is, she seems like a pretty, outgoing, nice person. She seems like the type of person that probably would talk to the staff and stuff when they were around.
Yeah,
these people that she was talking to and friendly with have been kidnapped and murdered by her husband. Anyways, Omen, he did not want the funeral in the Karathi chapel, so it's being done in the throne room instead, which is also the same place where they're going to have the wedding in a few hours. They see Telri's at the funeral, and he is clearly frustrated. But Royal had only announced the wedding a couple hours earlier, so Telri doesn't really have time to make a move. So when the funeral happens, Royal gives a nice eulogy for Ioden, and then they prepare to bring the body out of the throne room when Sinalin interrupts. He pulls out a scroll that Ioden had given to him right after he had gained the throne. Ioden had instructed that it be read either after Iden's death or after 15 years. Now, he reads the scroll, and it's a proclamation that all the titles in Erelon will now be frozen, and they're going to be passed from father and son, as is common in other nations. Wealth is no longer a measure of man's nobility. Those who have held onto the ranks have proven themselves worthy. And pretty much now, since Sinalan is the one that's saying this, it's religious doctrine. It's absolute.
Oh, I have it written here that Cyanalin is how it
Cyanalin?
sounds. Yep, Cyanalin.
That makes sense. Like I said, each vowel is supposed to be pronounced Cyanalin.
Well, that makes them even more pretentious and stuff.
Cyanalin, like another syllable. Yeah.
That's a great name. I love it.
So, Sarene and Royal, they're still, even with this proclamation, they're still planning on getting married. The proclamation will wind up only strengthening their claim to the throne. The nobles won't back Telri because the proclamation gives the nobles exactly what they want. Stable titles. They won't risk this by crowning a man who has no valid blood claim to the throne.
I was feeling like this was all going a bit too damn well. I was like, why would they introduce a major plot point like that just to make it easier for our characters?
And then they leave. They go to bury Iden. During this time, Sarene thinks about him and thinks about how, even though he was kind of a bad person and stuff, he did have a plan. He was going to have the wealth and stuff for the beginning just to see who deserves to be nobles and then keep everything stable after that. And then after they bury him, they head back to the palace and Sarene changes into her wedding dress. And it's the same wedding dress that she was planning on wearing to her wedding to Raoden. And, there's a description. Pretty much it's, she has like long gloves, a high neck on the dress, sleeves, all this stuff, which comes into play later. And then she prays and thanks Domai for a husband, even if it isn't the one that she had expected. Because she has heard of Jindo kings who had married brides as young as 12. So she is at least grateful that Royal is a kind man. So we finally get to the wedding. Sarene heads out with her veil down to the throne room.
Royal plans. I got to see my favorite part. Sorry. When they're talking about the long precision, and how they're just gonna do the carriages, and she thinks it's disrespectful, and she thinks, but it's only Raoden after all. After all that thinking about how he wasn't so bad, at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, well, fuck him,
Yeah.
Oh, I also like how cheap Royal is. Not cheap. He's frugal.
Frugal was the word they used.
Yeah, having the same decorations that would work for a funeral and a wedding.
Yep. So Sarene, she heads out to the throne room. She has her veil down, and their plan is pretty much right after the wedding, Royal's going to go sit down on the throne and stake his claim immediately. And Sarene, as she's going out, she sees Hrathen at the wedding, but he seems oddly calm. And then when Sarene lifts her veil, people begin to scream. Sarene, she, obviously is confused and embarrassed, and she assumes there's something wrong with the veil, so she removes it. And all her hair comes off with the veil. Royal is stunned. Cyanalin is outraged.
Cyanalin?
Cyanalin, yes. That's going to cause me problems. Cyanalin is outraged, and even Omen clutches his Karathi pendant in shock. Sarene manages to find a mirror, and her face was covered in black spots. The Sheod had come upon her.
Even though, that's who I've always expected the potion was going to, I, for some reason, didn't think it was about to happen here. It caught me off guard still. It's the second everyone gasps, then I'm like, I see, I get you.
What, did you expect Sarene to have a happy marriage?
No, the whole time I'm thinking too, well, man, this is going too damn smoothly. I don't know why I didn't realize that. I just thought it was going smoothly because it sucked that she was about to get married. Sucked for her.
Yeah, she has the one engagement to the guy that she breaks off because she realizes, I'm not being nice to him. Then she has her engagement to Raoden, and he dies before she can get married. And then she has this royal one, and then she gets cursed here in the wedding. So, good track record so far.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this chapter that you guys wanted to go over?
Let's see. Just that we'll say later. think that's good. I think I said the part about the wedding and the funeral being cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to say that it was funny that she was saying how she was jealous of the patriarch's hair earlier, but she should have been just appreciative now that all her hair is gone.
Ah, Sheta, you found some literary
Foreshadowing?
irony.
Yeah.
Ironic foreshadowing. There you go.
Yeah.
Right. So on to chapter 39. So this one pretty much begins right where the last one left off. Hrathen watches Karathi priest lead Sarene out of the throne room. He looks over, he sees Royal sitting on the edge of the throne dais with his head between his hands. Shuden looks as though he wants to follow the priest and demand Serene's release, and Eondel was weeping openly. Hrathen was also bothered as to why no one shed tears at his own fall to the Sheod.
I love that. Like, Hrathen, you're an asshole. Like, you don't have real friends. Like,
And now Royal won't crown himself because he has no legal right to it and his fortune is still less than Telri's. As Hrathen leaves, Telri nods to him with a respectful smile. Hrathen had given Telri a message not to react against the wedding. The conquest of Erelon is almost complete. And that is the Hrathen chapter.
I really enjoyed Hrathen's POV in this one. Like, seeing all our characters. It was
Getting
interesting.
to see his,
Yeah, like
getting to see his thoughts on everybody.
Yeah, he calls because he doesn't call him Eondel like how we know, but he calls him the Marshal Count Eondel and the young Shuden, the young Jindal Baron. Like,
True.
it's just
I
very
don't
cute.
I don't think he knows their names.
Yeah, then it makes Sarene seem really popular and cool. Like, she has all these friends that care about her, and he always calls her a princess. Like she's like the popular girl. I really like that.
So we'll go on to chapter 40. So, chapter 40 begins with Raoden and Galladin. They're looking at the Elantris wall, trying to find a way to the top. Raoden figures that there must be a way because the wall wasn't built to keep anyone out, and it even has stairs on the outside of it, along with little, viewing platforms on the top. So he figures there must be a way up there, and then he could use the top of the wall to find out what is happening in K. Raoden worries about what the guards leave in the wall means. His guess is that Fjorden has finally invaded, and he knows that if Fjorden conquers Erelon, then Elantris will be destroyed. Raoden thinks that if he can get in, they can get up and see into K, they can have forewarning about Fjorden attacking, and then he will be able to sneak the Elantrians out of the city. And as they're looking, a messenger comes up to them and tells them that a newcomer has come into the city. They head to the entrance and see a woman, and Dash tells them that she screamed at the gate for a full 10 minutes before she sank down to the ground. Raoden goes to meet her and is shocked when he sees that it is Sarene. And
She's a
Sarene,
feisty one.
yeah, she's cold to him and asks if he wants to steal her offering. He tells her that they don't need it because someone was kind enough to bring them large batches of food a few weeks back. When Raoden asks her to come with them, she tells him that she doesn't trust him anymore. Raoden asks her if she ever did, trust him. She says that she wanted to, but knew that she shouldn't. So Raoden tells her that she never really gave him a chance. And then she takes his hand for the first time and he pulls her up to her feet.
Oh, I'm happy. This is all they ever wanted.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing is that for them to be together in your thing, Sheta, you have to have pretty much a kingdom falls.
Yeah, a lot of bad stuff had to happen, but what's the cost of true love?
Anything else in this chapter you two want to go over?
These two chapters back to back, I was shocked at how when you said we were reading that many chapters, I was like, I did not believe you when you were implying how short they were. But those two back to back, I felt like weren't even one normal chapter. So that made that nice and easy.
Yeah, this book certainly gets in the second half a lot of short chapters, but it really makes everything feel like it's going because you're going from one beat to the next really quickly.
Agreed.
This chapter really reminded me of, well, first of all, I'm really glad she's not mad at him anymore. They made up. But when he reaches his hand out and is like, Did you ever trust me? It really reminded me of when Aladdin says, "Do you trust me?" to Jasmine. And now he's gonna show her Elantris, just like Aladdin did.
Oh god, that sounds like a horrible song.
I'm not going to sing it, but I did write it down. I wrote a song down.
You wrote a song, Sheta?
If you wrote a song and you say that you wrote it, you're
Yeah.
morally
No,
obligated to sing it.
No, Sheta, you are legit. You just
No, I'm not.
said it to all the viewers out there. You have think if you were listening and somebody said they wrote an Elantris Aladdin song and then didn't sing it, you would just quit that podcast
I
right then
didn't
and there.
write a song. I just wrote that they sang it. That's all.
Oh, come on, you got to give us one line, Sheta.
No, I don't have anything. Sorry.
At least
I-
say a lyric.
I can show you the slime. I can show you the Elantris.
Yeah.
There you go.
You need to work in aeons and slime in there somewhere.
Yeah. I said slime. When he says, "Don't you dare close your eyes," it's when they go and buy the Heods. The Hoids, I mean.
Oh god, no.
It's already better than the live action Aladdin. I guess if people listen to this, they'll realize that we just really don't like adaptations.
Well, I like them when they're good, that's for sure. Maybe just not adaptations of, well, no, it's always been like that when I think about it. Every now and then you get a good one, though, and I'll like that.
Like the Marvel movies up until the recent couple years.
For a long time, those were very solid adaptations.
Besides Iron Man 3.
Well, I mean, there's a couple in there that not so good at adapting the source material, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I used to like adaptations more than nowadays because nowadays with so many things, I just have become jaded. I just don't.
They used to pretend to adapt things. Now they're just like, I want to write my own story, but nobody will hire me because I'm a terrible writer. Oh, I got hired on to do the Elantris book? Sweet, I'll just write my own story instead.
Granted, I will say I haven't seen the second Dune yet, but the first one was pretty good adaptation. I enjoyed it.
Well, how much money that movie frickin' made, that should tell Hollywood something that I hope they listen to.
Well, they probably did because like I said, I haven't seen Dune Part 2 yet, but when I heard it's had a really good reviews.
Yeah, that's the same creative team. I'm talking about with other creative groups to hire people who will do it correctly.
Justin, they're not going to see that. They're just going to think like, I see. I just have to put Timothy Chalamet in things and that'll make money.
Oh, not even that. They're going to say, people like movies about deserts. Let's make those now.
Desert adaptations. We got to do that.
They won't even think they like giant worms. Just the desert is what they'll go to.
Like, I'm surprised they made the desert look interesting at all in there. So they should not try that. That would be really stupid.
Well, since that's the setting of the movie, I hope they'd make it look interesting.
You would hope so.
We don't bring out John Carter.
John Carter, Sheta?
Yeah. That also has a desert-like backgrounds.
That one also costs like, what, $270 million to make?
Yeah.
They spent way too much money on that for it to have a chance to make a profit.
And they didn't even adapt the Princess of Mars correctly. She was wearing a shirt.
Oh, that's the problem, I think.
All right, now we'll continue on with chapter 41. So pretty much it begins with Sarene. She's just stupefied when she enters New Elantris and sees how clean it is. She sees the people in there wearing the bright-colored, kind of garish clothing, and she realizes that's all the fabric that she had chosen and given to them. What she had seen as offensive when she chose the fabric, they wear with joy. Mayor takes Sarene into a building, and she gives her some clothes. As Serene's looking at herself in a mirror, she asks where they managed to find a mirror. And Mayor just tells her that it isn't a mirror. It is a flat piece of stone with thin sheets of steel. And Sarene once again realizes it's all that really thin steel that she had given to them as a way to kind of try to screw them over. So Sarene, with her new clothes, she leaves, and Spirit shows her around New Elantris. And she sees how the people there just love Spirit. She has never seen that with the leader before. Even her father had people that disliked him. They walk by a man that is carving a stone horse, and then he gives it to a girl. Grabs another stone and begins carving again. And Sarene realizes that he's using one of her bent nails to carve these things. Sarene asks who the man is, and Raoden tells her that he is Teon, but he used to go by the gang leader named Aondon. Right? Sarene, then she decides that she's going to apologize to... Sarene then apologizes to Spirit and says that she gave them the nails because she was afraid that they would make weapons if she gave them normal steel. Spirit tells her that she was right to be wary and that he did wind up betraying her in the end. But she tells him that he must have had a good reason. He says that he did have a good reason, but he's still a tyrant. Sarene denies this, though. She says that he isn't a tyrant because there cannot be tyranny where there is love, and the people clearly love him.
The thing about the weapons was a good excuse as to why she was giving him some of the not so good stuff, I didn't think of it that way.
I figured that, knowing her.
Yeah.
But this was very satisfying to read because I was really mad at her when she did that. Now she's sorry.
And Sarene figures that Spirit must be a nobleman, and she asks him who he was. And he tells her that he was the second son of a lord of the Ayin plantation. And Sarene figures that it could be a truth or it could be a lie. She didn't bother memorizing the names of the minor lords. And then suddenly, Spirit begins glowing and he collapses. And
that caught me off guard because for a second I had forgotten that was a plot point from just a little bit ago.
Yeah, but Sarene, she holds him as he spasms. And she could feel something large and possibly immense pressing against her.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I'm so sorry.
Her blood doesn't
I realized immediately what they were saying, but it just caught me wrong.
He knew what he was doing.
I don't think so. Save it for your fan fiction, Sheta.
And then Sarene, she could no longer see him because there was just too much light coming from him. And then he went limp and he yells out a defiant yell. Sarene asks if she needs to go get help, but he tells her no. This is becoming a common occurrence for him because the door is intent on destroying him. She questions it, and he says it's because of Aondor. Sarene doesn't believe in Aondor, and that they had been taught, the last 10 years, that the Elantris magics had mostly been a sham. So then Spirit begins to draw an Aeon in the air. And Sarene, she faces the possibility the stories were true, and she asks Spirit to teach her. Later on at night, Sarene finally has time to cry. She thinks about how she will never see her family again and how she has failed, and that Ash is now likely dead. But then Ash shows up to her surprise. And both her and Ash figures that it must be a miracle that he isn't dead or whatever you'd call happens to the Seance.
Cuckoo.
Sure.
Broken. That's what I like to think.
Broken's better.
Ash tells her that Telri plans to wait a few days to consolidate power before taking the throne. And then Eventio contacts Sarene through Ash and says that he will bring her home. Soon, Erlon will fall to Fjorden, and Teod will be alone with no allies. She declines, and after an argument between the two of them, Eventio finally accepts this. He says that he's going to set Teod's armada in a defensive pattern. She needs to let her friends know that any ship that is approaching Teod waters will be sunk without question. And that's the chapter. And then I also had two things that Brandon Sanderson, where he said they were his two cheesiest lines from the chapter.
Oh, what ones?
First was, Raoden talking. Well, I suppose the time during the trial wasn't complete loss. I gained something very important during those weeks. The supplies? Sarene asked. That too. That was one. And then his other cheesiest line was, after the whole spasming being in her arms and, then it's Raoden. When I opened my eyes, I thought that time I had died for certain. Yeah, those were the
He's
two
too hard on himself. I like that line. The died for certain one just fine.
Yeah, no,
but I always love hearing what a writer thinks about their own stuff when they're kind of picking on themselves.
I think I admit, they are kind of like cheesy romantic lines for both of them.
Yeah.
That's the fun of them. All right. So anything from this chapter you two want to go over?
Well, I think Serene's dad is such a good dad when he listens to Serene's pleas. was like, he has a really, or Sanderson has a good way of writing super nice guys, like just really likable good guys, and then really evil petty guys too. Like, where I'm just
Well,
like,
it's
that's just
interesting because if you count Hrathen as an evil petty guy, he's really interesting because he's not written as evil. He is written as like an actual person who has those feelings all the time. So
yeah,
I agree with you, Shita.
yeah. His characters seem really like believable and real. Like,
Hmm.
like I really believe that this person is really nice and thought like really
Yeah,
sweet
they're
and
not
nice
nice
and
because the story told you. They actually act like how a person like that would act, right?
yeah, like they really think that, and so it's really unique.
I mean, this one, it's one of my favorite chapters that we've gone through so far. Just having the part with Sarene going through New Elantris and seeing all the stuff where she tried to screw him over and how they all found ways to use it to their benefit was pretty fun.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, that's my favorite. I'm so glad. It was very satisfying to see that every time she's like, "That's my thing," or "I did that," and I was like, "That's right." You know, you should feel, rethink it and stuff. Like, um, I really like the ironic, or no, not like when she was like, the clothes are really bright, and that it actually really made it more cheerful in there. And I thought of like if they had black or gray or brown clothes, it would just be depressing. So it actually was really helpful that the clothes are so colorful and bright, made everything look cheerful.
Yeah. It would be interesting if this was adapted to see all the clothes in the boxes all hideous as shit, and then see a part like this where it's through her eyes, but they design it as,
Yeah,
flatteringly as possible, I'm sure, to drive that point home.
yeah, like it's Disneyland in here. Everyone's so cartoony. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
imagine it like that, like a fairy tale village.
yeah. I know we went on a whole rant earlier about adaptions, but honestly, I feel like, I would be interested to see an Elantris adaptation. Like, like if HBO did like a one season sort of show, I feel like Elantris, the book is about the perfect length to do one season of something and have it work
Yeah.
out.
If you just
And
get the right person in charge.
yeah, and then you're not having to do the whole thing where, right, so we need to try to stretch this out for 5, 6 seasons, or
Oh
all right,
God, no, thank you.
we've made like 2 seasons, realize we like this actor more, so we'll just completely change their character's part in order to make
No.
their. But yeah, and I know he has Brent Sanderson has a different series that there's been on and off again talks about doing a movie adaptation of. But I just feel like Elantris would be one of my top ones because, like I said, I feel nice short thing works perfectly for like a 10 episode series.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Plus, I don't think you need to really have like a super. You don't need a super high special effects budget.
Yeah, you could do this book for cheap.
Yeah,
It would be such a smart one to adapt.
yeah, you would
It'd
have
be
to
very
do like
contained. Yeah.
the sets would be expensive to build the city and everything. You have a little bit of CGI with like drawing the Aeons and stuff.
Yeah, but that's like CW level CGI. I'm sure HBO could afford that easy.
Yeah, you're not having to spend money to make like dragons or dwarves or else you'd put Lord of the Rings.
Hmm. You
Mhm.
mean like the millions they spent on Rings of Power that nobody watched?
Yes.
I still haven't watched it.
No, nobody did. Only 30% of people finished that show. Like, it was not well received. Is Brandon Sanderson somebody from what you know who's protective of selling the rights to his stuff? Or is he like, just give me the money and I'll go for it. I don't care.
From what I know, yes.
Yeah.
He is the only thing I've heard of is like one trilogy of books. He's been a little bit more protective on who he sells it to, and there have been talks of like it's been in development, and there have been talks about possible casting, but nothing really set in stone that I've seen. But
Hmm.
yeah, it has seemed like something where he more wants to make sure if it gets done right.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And you
that's
don't think that if he was willing to sell, that someone wouldn't have been come sniffing already, and we would already have a bunch of
well, I don't
adaptations?
know. Usually the things they adapt are things that like everyone knows. I guess nowadays they've been adapting quite a
No,
few more niche books, haven't they?
If there's any audience, they're gonna come.
Yeah.
And they like to be like, "Oh, you seen it here first. Now we can throw the ugly logo on all the paperbacks." Like,
Still, like the still shot of actors from the show.
Oh,
Yep.
those are hideous.
They want to be the ones to introduce all these people to a new thing or a lesser known thing. That's, that's good.
Watched, adaptions, then read the books. It has made me a fan of the books.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Yeah. I'm not against adaptations. I'm not even against mediocre to kind of boring adaptations. I'm against offensively garbage ones. That's the specific thing.
Yeah.
Because,
Well,
yeah,
when
they
they,
do
like-
open a whole audience. Yeah. What's that?
When they outright hate on the books, that's when I don't like it.
Yeah, or actively damage the franchise to a new audience.
Yeah.
There was a long time where whenever somebody would ask my favorite superhero, and I'd be like, "It's Green Lantern." They're like, "Why?" I'm like, "God damn it, Green Lantern movie."
But I think of the One Piece live action. I wasn't a big fan of it. I did not like how the characters and stuff were portrayed. But I have seen that has gotten a lot of people into watching the anime and reading the manga. So just that
Oh, yeah.
alone, it's why
As long as it's a
fine
net
with the
good
live
for the
action.
brand. As long as it's a net good for the brand and it doesn't either taint it for everyone or like completely change it visually to a different thing that it's not, which is always so annoying.
Justin, how quickly would you sell the rights to one of your comics if Hollywood asked you? Like tomorrow.
It does depend which one, honestly. There's ones that I'd be like, go for it. I don't give a shit. If somebody asked for the rights to Kitty Kill Club, I'll give it to them for very low. I don't care how it's adapted. But if they ask for the rights to like Tuna Man or something, I'd be very protective of that, even though that's not a popular series I have.
Well, once again, we got derailed on the same topic.
I guess we'll have to start a second podcast where we just complain about adaptations.
We just watch an adaptation each week and talk about it.
Not a bad idea. Sure, it's been done, but that would get me through a lot of movies that I feel obligated to watch, but I don't want to sit down and watch.
I don't want to watch them.
Sheta, you would be so funny on a podcast like that. You get so pissed off.
Only because I would have real pain, and people who
Yeah.
like seeing people's pain would come to watch me suffer.
Joe and I can laugh at it, roll our eyes, but you just get so pissed.
No.
So you would be the best one.
Well,
thank you.
Well, as long we could always do a podcast like one my brother-in-law told me about, the worst idea of all time. Yeah, so it started off with the first season. The host, they watched Grown Ups 2 every week for a year.
What?
What?
And discussed it.
That sounds terrible.
And they had not seen the first Grown Ups.
Why would you do that? That is
Wow.
legitimately the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
In season 2, they watched Sex and the City 2 every week for a year.
Oh my god. You know how many hours of your life that is? Like,
No. Here's the real question. Who the fuck is listening to that podcast?
Oh, there's a lot of people that listen to.
Oh,
how
God.
much can you say about one movie, let alone that one?
At the end of it, you're going to be able to quote the whole thing.
Oh, they better be able to.
And I think my brother-in-law said they started doing like games and stuff during stuff because all right, first week you can talk about the movie, second week maybe some more stuff. Even by week 10, having discussed the same movie every week, and then them and another podcast every year for Thanksgiving, they do "Till Death Do Us Blart," where they watch Paul Blart
Paul
Mall Cop
Blart Marathon.
Oh my god.
Wait, just Paul Blart Mall Cop 2? Not even other movies he's in?
Yep, every year for Thanksgiving. They're doing that until they die.
Oh my god. You know, I always feel really regretful when I have to watch a bad movie again because I want to show someone. And I'm like, man, why did I waste my life watching Sucker Punch again? And I feel really mad because there's so many good movies out there. Why would you watch that again? Oh, God.
So,
no.
See, just throwing it out there that if we did a thing where you had to watch bad movies, it could be worse.
No, that's the podcast. You just call it Could Be Worse. You find another thing somebody's doing like that and do something twice as bad. That's the gimmick.
No. Well, I'm not doing that.
So instead of watching it once a week for a year, you'd have one day where you watch it for 24 hours straight every week for a year.
No, this is just like stunts to torture yourselves. Like,
Oh yeah,
watch me
I'm not
eat.
pursuing that career path. No, thank you. Psychological jackass type nightmare stuff.
Yeah, like let's jump in a pile of nails. Like, why? Why are you doing that?
Now, this time for sure, we're going to move on. All right, so chapter 42, back to Hrathen. And Hrathen is now in control. Deloff is back down unhappily and begrudgingly, and he begrudgingly promised to hold no more meetings or sermons without Hrathen's overt permission. And in exchange, Deloff was officially named head Artith. Deloff has also relieved all his ODs from their vows, had them swear to less binding positions. And 3/4 of the Erling nobility has converted to Shu-Dereth, and within a week, Telri will crown himself. Erlon is Hrathen's with nearly 6 weeks left before Wern's deadline. Deloff still hates the Elantrians and he wants to preach against them, but Hrathen refuses. He says that there is no point anymore. However, he does tell Deloff that Elantris will not go free. There is enough time to deal with it after this nation is firmly in Yadith's grasp. Erlon is now Hrathen's. One more nation remains, and Hrathen has plans for Teod. And that's the chapter.
That was a scary ending to the chapter to me. Because this whole book, Hrathen's been so nervous about saving the souls of this city. And in his mind, he's already won, and he's already thinking of the next city. That's when I was like, you know what? I think Hrathen might be a bad guy.
Also, like,
or like he might be a villain. Because, yeah, he had a huge character arc where I feel like he had a villain's journey, basically. Where he went from morally ambiguous to a straight up, he knows what he needs to do, he's going to do it kind of thing.
Yep.
Also, like, the big turnaround for him. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how he had like just a big mental breakdown and everything went bad for him. Deloff was stealing his stuff. Sarene was making the Elantrians look good. Sarene stopped Telri from becoming king, so everything was bad for Hrathen 2 weeks ago. Now he's gotten rid of his rival in Sarene. He's pretty much neutered Deloff. He has taken over Erlon. So just 2 weeks' time of reading, everything has flipped.
Oh, he's feeling pretty hot right now. Got his mojo back.
Pride cometh before a fall is what I think is going to happen to him, though.
I thought he was so funny in here, feeling like a proud middle manager who got their assignments done before the deadline.
Oh, God. That is what he is.
With 2 weeks to spare, like, yeah, I'm the man. Like, I did it.
All right. So now we'll just move on to chapter 43. So it begins with Raoden and Galden. They're climbing a set of stairs to the top of the Elantris wall that Galden had found. Galden says that he tried to bring Raoden here for the last 3 days, but Raoden has been spending all his time with Sarene.
Ooh.
Raoden points out that she is his wife, but Galden says that, asks him, have you let her know this?
Does she know that? That's good.
And then when they get to the top of the stairs, they use an axe to break through a wooden door that's at the top. Once they're outside and on top of the wall, they look out and see that the Elantris guard are stationed at Duke Telri's mansion. Since she's been in Elantris, she hasn't talked about her last days before entering Elantris because they were rough on her. But Raoden decides that he needs to ask her in order to find out what is going on with Telri. Raoden and Galden head to the secret library where Sarene is. And Raoden, he's just looking at her and he thinks about how wonderful she is. When they arrive, he notes that she has taken to the Sheod well. Her skin still looks good, and she claims she doesn't feel pain like the others. He chalks this up to her staying in New Elantris and not having to deal with the struggles that the people before had to deal with.
She's got to look like the most beautiful woman in the world here, just because all she has is baldness and splotches, but she's still got a human figure. She doesn't look like a corpse, I think it's really interesting that he does take note of that,
Yes, and it's just because he's in love with her. It's not because of anything else.
Yeah, is that it? You don't think that maybe she might have been poisoned, Sheta?
No. Love makes you see the most beautiful woman.
All right, well, we'll hold you to that theory.
Through these last couple chapters with her and Raoden, there are plenty of clear signs that Sarene was not taken by the Sheod, that both of them managed to just ignore. Sarene, at the beginning, it's clearly because of ignorance. She doesn't know what it's supposed to be like. But now that she does know, and now that Raoden, he knows, I think that they're just completely missing the point because they're too, engrossed with each other. Because they're
Also,
smart enough.
I'd have to imagine that a potion that can give somebody these conditions is in this, type of time period a pretty fantastical idea. Like, I doubt that they would ever think of that,
Yeah, they don't sell that at the corner store. Like,
Even Hrathen was amazed by that, and he specifically ordered it,
yeah, I think it'll happen when her hair starts growing. And they'll be like, what?
Or when
So
she
with
gets her arm cut off and bleeds to death.
Okay, yeah.
With Hrathen, his all this splotches vanished after 5 days.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But I'm saying
So-
before that's how they'd find it out. That does
Right.
not make me feel safe for Serene's well-being in here. That's all I'm saying.
So Sarene tells Raoden about how she had found an original copy of the poem Wyrn the King. And she says that this proves that the original Wyrn was not Derethi because he existed before Shu-Dereth. And also that Yadith was an unimportant god that cared for rocks and the earth. But now that the Empire of Fjorden is religious, their priests went through and rewrote all the poems to make it seem like their leader was a religious figure. She believes that if this got out, then it would be a major source of embarrassment for Fjorden.
That answered a question I've had the whole time about how religions and stuff work in this world, if all the stuff they're talking about is just overtly true. But hearing that they've rewritten things just like they do in the real world, is very...
What? Who does that? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, who does that? Is very interesting to have officially told to me, because usually in fantasy books they don't tell me that kind of stuff. They just talk about the faiths. They don't talk about how people exploit stuff to give themselves power and stuff.
He seems very interested in the politics of religion.
Which is probably my favorite part of this book.
Raoden, he asks Sarene about what is happening outside the city. And she begins by saying that the important stuff started when she dethroned Iadon and then he hanged himself.
Oh yeah, just offhand.
I laughed so loud when I read that scene. Because when it's coming, I'm like, oh, she's going to say something that's either going to be a shocking cliffhanger that, like, I knew she's going to say the king is dead. I did not expect it to be worded like that.
Yeah, she
brutal.
doesn't realize, she doesn't realize that she's talking to Iadon's son, so she should word it carefully.
Why would you sugarcoat it? No, that was... you don't get a lot of legit laughs out of me when I'm reading, but that one did.
Anything else from this chapter?
I bet this was your favorite chapter so far, Sheta.
Yeah, I liked it. I really like romantic stuff.
You got your nice corpse leper romance that you've been waiting for?
Don't call it that. I really like knowing, because I was getting really bothered by why Raoden hasn't told her who he really was, when she straight up asks him, he lies. So I'm glad to kind of get an answer for what he's thinking by not telling her and stuff, in which he tells Galadin that he doesn't want her to feel any type of obligation to him just because they're supposed to be married.
No, they are married.
Yeah, but he likes her, and he doesn't want her to feel like, there's no real reason anymore because their marriage was supposed to be political.
I think he's probably thankful for that ability to do the courting thing that he had to completely skip over, basically, to get to know each other.
Yeah.
See if there'd be more to it.
Yeah, he wants her to like...
I don't think he ever expects to return to the kingdom, and get any of that stuff back.
Yeah. They basically aren't married, and...
Also, in his mind, he's going to be dead within a year, Like, he keeps thinking about how he's not going to make it that much longer.
In his mind, he's not going to last another 5 weeks.
Yeah.
He should tell her. He should tell her how he feels.
He doesn't
and
know
that
how
he's Raoden.
Yeah.
He likes her.
True.
And also, Justin, earlier you said that they technically are married. But actually, technically, they would not be married because the marriage contract would be if he had died. But now he's not dead, so I guess they're not married.
Oh, that's true. They would have had to do the ceremony to become married, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm totally wrong.
Does Raoden know that? Because he keeps calling her his wife still.
It, in the, it's all semantics. In the city of Kay, they were considered married because they were told that Raoden was dead.
I see.
So they're kind of married and they're kind of not married. Not like it really matters right now. All right. So on to the last chapter for this week, chapter 44. So Sarene, she's explaining to Spirit about what had happened with Iden, and Spirit is shocked by this. He asks if Telri is king now, and she says, not yet, but it will be soon. Spirit asks about Royals, since he is richer, but Sarene tells him about how Telri is backed by Fjorden. So now Telri's the richer one. And Sarene tells Spirit about everything that has happened since she arrived in Kay. She was impressed by his understanding of the lords and nobles. And he tells her that it is vital for a minor noble to know of each noble that's ranked Baron or higher. And then Spirit is most shocked when Sarene tells him that she was about to marry Royal. He's just pretty much mentioning that, yeah, Royal's just some creepy old guy. How he managed to convince you to this? Well, actually, it was Shuden's plan. And Spirit's just, he says, that, yeah, it sounds like the sort of connection that Shuden would make to combine you two. But he just can't see Shuden mentioning the word marriage. And then Sarene just tells him that, well, right now, actually, Shuden and Ahan's daughter getting close together. And once in Spirit is shocked, it's like, what? Shuden and Tarina? This is everything. And then Spirit asks her how she could even get married because her marriage contract to Raoden says that she can't remarry. She questions him on this because she never mentioned it, but he claims that she did.
That was
And
funny.
Yeah, like
No,
I
you totally
totally
did. Right, Galadin? I'm not
Yeah.
getting into this.
That was cute.
And then she says that the only reasons for the marriage contract, to Raoden was to tie Erlon and Teo together. She was only going to marry Raoden for political reasons, and it was going to be the same thing with Royal. And she notices that Spirit seems hurt and melancholic about this for some reason. Spirit mentions that they have no way of knowing what is happening outside of Elantris now, and Sarene says that she does, and that's when Ash comes down. Ash leaves, and later comes back, and he has news. Telri is now king. And that's where our chapters ended this week.
Finally happened.
Of course it did. They've been building it up for so long.
Yeah, but I didn't think it would ever happen. Telri being king.
He has to be. He sucks so much.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he sucks so much. He's not going to be king.
Well, there's actually a interesting thing with that. Like, because that's not what originally was supposed to happen with the book. Like the 10th anniversary book at the back, there's a bunch of deleted scenes in there. Originally, there's supposed to be this whole different plot line that came at the end part here. With Raoden was going to have a secret brother that shows up with an army.
Oh.
His brother was also insane.
Huh. That would have been quite a plot change.
Yeah, something where I guess Hrathen was going to give up on Telri earlier on, and then he'll find out about this, and then he'll use the brother for this.
I see. So basically, just look at the narrative and be like, "Why am I taking this huge detour when I can just do Telri?" Right?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I read that one part that he does kind of miss from that plot line that gets left out is, they would see the army outside the walls, and they don't know what's going on with it, and then Sarene believes that it's Raoden, that he came back to the city and he has an army behind him.
Oh.
But
that's why they say kill your darlings, because that would have been a huge detour from the plot.
I haven't read all the deleted scenes chapters, so I don't know exactly what it goes like. I just know like the bare bones of what was going on with it. But I prefer, I kind of like this whole Telri stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
keep
have
it
plot lines
simple.
like I have plot lines like that all the time that I realize are just wasting everyone's time, even though I think they're cool. It's so sad to cut them, but it's also kind of satisfying in a way.
Anything else from this chapter do you want to go over?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny when Serene's using her Aeon, and she actually thinks, why isn't anyone questioning that I have it still, and then realizes nobody knows it's hers. I thought that was an interesting thing to call out.
Mm-hmm. It's not her sound?
That nobody knows if it is or isn't. They just know that it's coming in to communicate with her.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like half a sentence, but I thought it was a interesting thing to have her point out.
I liked her. I thought it was interesting that she didn't tell Raoden that she was partly responsible for his father's death.
She didn't go into the details of how it was. I'd be curious to see his reaction to. I mean, she said he's part of the mysteries, but she didn't say, I saw him naked cutting open some poor woman.
Yeah.
I would have been curious to see, be like, oh, that's my pa. Or if he'd be surprised.
All right. So I'll move on to our questions and predictions segment. So I think the biggest thing is, since, it's pretty clear throughout all this that Sarene, was given the shield by Hrathen, which means that we know that it's only going to last 5 days. So what's going to happen once that wears off? What's Hrathen's plan?
I think that he expects her to be killed in there probably because of how chaotic everyone knows it is, If he's smart, he'll have somebody watching either in or from afar, maybe, I don't know who, watching for evidence. But they disappear in there so far they don't know. I'm going to guess he's going to have to send somebody in to kill her. Maybe your swole buff priest guy, Sheta.
Yeah. But, when people go into Elantris, they, really get in there. You can't really find them again. So, yeah, I think you're right that he might just think that she'll just be killed, or even if she...
That's funny.
Even if she gets back to normal, who's going to listen to her, believe her?
The other thing he could do is have paid off the lead guard to let him know if that happens, or to just shoot her if that happens,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got those bases covered. He's not stupid.
Or he could be like, my God saved her too because I love her.
That would be a bad idea. That would give her so much power. Also, I think that would look pretty frickin' surprising because he can't let anyone know that she doesn't have it. Not because she'll come back out, but because then people will get suspicious of what's going on here,
Right. Now that Telri out there, he's become, king and everything. What's going to happen to Serene's group of guys?
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm.
I think they're just going to be asked to bend the knee, probably. What's yours, Sheta?
Oh, I was just going to say that they fell apart without Raoden, so I feel like they're kind of all followers.
Mm-hmm.
And they were about to fall apart before Sarene jumped in, so
yeah,
they'll
how
probably just go back.
And ambitious is Telri? That's the question. Enough to, do something about it?
Yeah, those type of characters always just end up being around, but not really doing much.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Sheta. Because we
probably
don't. Well, Hrathen's our POV, so anything that happens to them, he would have to see. So, yeah, I doubt that much.
Yep.
Oh no, the old guy's definitely going to get executed, though. He has to be because he's the only challenge to the throne, right?
Yeah, but not anymore. He's pretty much neutered when Sarene left.
He was like 1 second away from taking the throne. I think that
with
would
Sarene,
be likely.
though.
Yeah, but still,
He has no claim now.
That. Yeah, well. Technically, Telri really doesn't have any claim.
Also,
either,
do you need to kill him? He's so old. You just gotta wait a little.
Sends a message.
I think taking the throne and taking Sarene out is already a clear message.
Sheta, just imagine seeing a beloved character like however you pronounce Royale, executed through Hrathen's eyes. How sad would that be?
That would be so sad. Since I love Royale now.
Yeah, he doesn't even know the guy. So there's my prediction.
I already said I thought Shuden would be the one.
Shuden seems like somebody who might cut and run,
No way, now he's got his girlfriend? It's not going to be like that.
Oh, that's true. That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's more tragic because they have a new love if he dies.
I don't think he's going to die, but I think he's got his reason to care. We'll see how much of a tyrant Telri is. That'll really tell us.
Yeah, let's go through each person, see how you think they'd react. So you already kind of went through Shuden and Royal. Ahon
React to
like
the.
Talry being king and stuff like that.
I see.
Because you were discussing, Royal might get killed, shoot in, he might stay or he might run.
I think Ahon. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think most of them. I think they can just continue what they were doing before, just merchanting and trying their best to meet whatever quotas they got to meet. But I don't know. It's different now because the laws changed too. So that factors in as well. They're all nobility now, like just officially.
Not all of them. Kain and
What was
Lupo are
it?
not. K,
Oh, yeah, but
Kain
I
and
mean of
Lupo, they're not nobility.
the ones who were nobility. Like they don't have to
Yep.
worry about losing it because they've lost money. Kain has a problem, that's for sure.
The other thing I thought of too with Eden, because he ran away. If he had just managed to hold on a little
I
bit
know.
longer.
I thought that too. I was like, you dumb fuck. You should have just stayed there. You would be a noble for life.
Well, he wouldn't because he still would have lost it with that pay period. Remember, they
Who
had the one
knows?
pay.
Maybe he could have come up with something.
Yeah, if he just waited a little bit longer, then he would have been grandfathered in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's going to happen with because Hrathen says he has a plan for Teo, and Eventio he's setting up, his armada in a defensive position. So what's going to happen there? What's Hrathen's plan for taking Teo?
I don't know. That line was so scary at the end because he clearly has a plan, but I don't know what it is. That's why it was so horrifying to me to see that. Because I don't have a guess.
He might just do as usual, or he might just declare war.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let him into the city, so he can't do as usual,
Yeah, he might have to do what he did in Duladen by force.
Yeah, but he had a smile. He had a plan. I don't think he'd want to do it by force,
Oh, you know what? He might fish out Sarene and take her as hostage or something.
Mayhaps. Yeah, that makes sense. Something with her. That's his piece he has, if she's still alive in there. Or he does do what you said, Sheta, and has her cured of it, and then tries to get people in Teo to convert because that won't work. Because they would just think their own god did it.
Maybe he'll go and say, do you want me to save your princess? Here my god saved me and stuff. I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just say the word,
Yeah. That's his one move, but I doubt that's enough to get the king to, give up the city.
Yeah, and it's not like she's dead. She's just,
Mm-hmm. I really want to see what it's like in the cities that they rule, What is it like day to day? Is it horrible or is it okay? I'm really curious. What are we fighting for against here,
Oh, like normal everyday life?
Yeah, is it like for the common man, is it, kind of just you don't really notice who's in charge? Or is it like really quite fascistic and scary there? I'm really curious.
I know from past chapters, Sarene says that she has seen oppressed people and stuff.
Yeah, we got oppressed people here too.
But
I think the difference is there's a hope for change here.
But also in Fjorden, we know that they don't have a serfdom or anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
And pretty much their countries, because the countries that Fjorden takes over, they still run like they're separate countries with their own king and stuff. Just now is since they're all underneath the same religion, and Warren's considered the top of that religion, whenever he calls them for like some sort of religious war, then they have to answer.
Yeah. See, my fear would be they said when the whole world converts, then they'll finally have, the ascension or peace or whatever they said, or the God will return.
Yeah.
My fear would be when they take that last area and then that doesn't happen, then they'll start saying, oh, it's because we have too much sinners within our cities. And then it would get really, really bad, I imagine.
So I asked you what will happen when, with Hrathen and knowing that Sarene's not going to be shadowed forever. But what's going to happen in Elantris with like Raoden and Sarene when a couple more days pass and like all of a sudden they notice that she's no longer an Elantrian?
I don't think we're going to make it to that point. I think she's going to be kidnapped before that, taken.
Kidnapped?
Yeah, by Hrathen. Or attempted killed.
I think they'll just...
kind of be anti...
Huh?
No, you.
Oh, I don't really know. I think... I can imagine how it would be. They'd be like... But I feel like when you said that, That's true. I'm never gonna see that. It'll
Well, I
just be
think
like,
it'd be kind of.
oh, your hair is back. You're cured or something. And
I
then
think it'd be somewhat anticlimactic if she just got better and they were just like, "Oh, hey," because that doesn't do anything for them. But I
yeah,
was
that's what I
just
mean.
thinking, it could be, she's trying to practice the yo-yo and she knows him really well now, but they're not doing any magic and stuff. It could be that having a normal human in there with what they've learned could be like the missing key that would unlock something or do something. That would be my only guess, was that it would be a fortuitous thing to have happened for them that they wouldn't expect. Because they all got the curse. Maybe having a normal person would be something. I don't know. But I feel like there would have been something to set that up if there was.
You know what would be really sweet is if um that that helps Raoden be cured a little bit. Like his pain will go away having her near.
But she is near, right?
Yeah, but once she is cured and a human and stuff, like it'll somehow help Raoden be able to channel the door and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I hear what you're saying.
You know
Help
what I'm
them
saying?
channel the door, eh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's just a little tense is all. That's probably
I
why.
don't need any Elantris innuendo. That's a horrible thing. Brandon Sanderson would be ashamed of you, Sheta.
He'll be like, "Oh, you got it," he'll say. Like,
That's
you're
what
the
they
only
made
person.
me cut out.
Yeah.
God, I hope he never listens to this podcast.
Oh, I wonder if they could have a baby. An Elantrian baby. Maybe that's how he needs to like.
Why would you ever do that to a baby? What's wrong with you?
Well, no, it will be born like a little savior baby, you know?
Raoden's
Because it.
blood doesn't pump.
Mm. But maybe Serene. He that's he'll use magic to do it. You know, magic will help.
The magic doesn't do anything.
Oh, we don't know that.
Yeah,
It's
he
trying to
just needs
get.
the right. I think she's saying he needs the right catalyst, if you know what I mean, to get the magic to happen. That's what I'm hearing her say. I sure hate it, but that's what I'm hearing you say.
Mhm. I think it was a little bit implied because he had all this built up magic inside him. That's all.
That's definitely going somewhere. Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you, because we have 2 more recording sessions left of this book. We're almost done. So how's it going to end? You have all these pieces here. Some of them not clear how they're going to go together. So what's going to happen in these last however many chapters it is?
Well, Serene's going to be attacked or kidnapped. Raoden's going to heroically fight her off, but she'll be taken. Then he'll have to leave the city to go rescue her. Hrathen is going to fall of his own pride. He has to. How that's going to happen, I couldn't say. Dilaf is going to pull some insane move that we don't see coming to have people attack Elantris. I feel like that has to happen too. And all the bad guys are going to lose, the good guys are going to win, and Raoden and Sarene are going to sit on the throne because of how the new laws are. That's all what I got.
Yeah, you called it.
Well, you must have one too.
Basically the opposite of what you said.
Oh,
I
let's hear
think.
it.
Well, I think they will just make like these really sure plans, head to Tio and stuff, and I think in the end our heroes are gonna like just be in the worst position to do anything about it. I don't think that what you're saying is gonna happen all in 2
The
sessions.
heroic normal ending.
Yep, no, it's gonna be like, yep, they're going to Tio. Tio's in trouble. Sarene is powerless to do anything. I think I don't know why, but I imagine them all going over to Tio.
Wait, you're saying
Like,
all mine's not going to happen in 2 recordings, but they're going to go all the way there?
well, they will make plans to go. Like in the end, they'll be like setting sail to go there or something.
Oh, you think it's going to say to be continued?
Yeah, for some reason,
I
I
see.
imagine they're going to like Galadin's old country and getting like any helpers or allies they can. Like Hrathen will be getting his armies, and then Sarene and Raoden will be getting their armies and allies
I see.
to try to go to war over
Galadin's,
there.
Galadin's old country got fucked up.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's people who are mad about it. Yeah.
They're going to get the band back together, Sheta? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Oh, and I always think that Raoden will reunite with his old friends, like Shuden and them.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
yeah,
He's
When
getting
he breaks out to save Sarene, the whole country will see him that he's all alive and stuff.
yeah.
I also realized another thing I think is going to happen. When Serene's being attacked or whatever, maybe she won't get kidnapped. It'll be that guy will find out Raoden's alive, report that to Hrathen. Hrathen will be like, fuck, if he comes out, technically he has the right to the throne, you know? And so that's when he's going to say, Dilaf, take him in. And Dilaf is going to lead a purge on Elantris. That's my guess on that.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Then
sense.
they'll have to break out and do. Maybe Sarene will be taken, admits the carnage, Raoden will leave, and Hrathen and Raoden will have an epic fight. That's what I got.
You know, I don't know. I thought for some reason that I always thought that they would get the magic powers and stuff and then go on a magic
Oh,
fight.
I'm sorry, I
But
forgot about the magic. That has to be involved. Dilaf is going to attack. Then Raoden will learn the magic. All of Elantris will be cured. Everyone will have magic powers, and something crazy will happen. There you go. Thank you,
yeah.
Sheta. That's the piece I missed.
Yeah,
What were you going to say about that?
basically the same thing.
Yeah.
all right. Let's fill in one more piece of that. How are they going to get all their magic powers back?
Well, Raoden's gonna, that pressure, he's gonna, something to do with, it's got to be something Sarene learns in the next books because she's very smart. Maybe something with the pool. I don't know. The pressure thing, we're going to see a thing on that. He's going to die, but then he's going to be like, oh, I see now as I drift from through the veil to the other side, I can bring it back with me or something corny like that. And then he'll shoot powers into everybody. They'll all become godlike Elantrians, and then they'll just laser all the bad guys out.
Said the pool. Were they put him in the pool?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yep.
That
Nope.
I don't know.
He'll go in the pool, he'll learn something, and then he'll come back out and be like, I know how to do the magic.
Yeah, he'll go into Elantris heaven, talk to all the Atlantrians who live there, but say, no, I want to go back. Is that what you're saying, Shita?
Yep, he'll come back. My work is not done, and he'll go
I
back.
think the pool's going to be relevant. I don't know in what way as of yet.
Yep.
Can he come
They
back?
brought it.
Their bodies like dissolve.
Yeah, they
He will
transcend
be-
to heaven. He's going to come back as a god. I don't
He
know.
will be reborn, is how it is.
Yeah. It's going to be a Jesus
But
type thing.
that would be weird
And
if he was reborn in Serene's belly.
What the fuck? Where did it come from?
I don't know, all this religion stuff, Like, maybe he will be born as a little Jesus baby.
Couldn't they just open the door and let him back out if that's like an otherworldly energy place or
No, I don't know.
something?
I think there's
No.
rules and stuff,
What? And the rules are he needs to be born from her belly? How is he
Religious
gonna?
religion rules. That's all
So
I'm
you're
saying.
saying he's gonna pop out as a little baby and have a little baby sword fight with Hrathen? Is that what you're saying?
He will grow like unnaturally, but he
Oh
has
god,
to
I
be a
hate
baby.
those kind of stories. I don't want that at all.
So it's Avengers issue number 200,
Oh god.
where they
Yeah.
ruined Carol Danvers' character for like 25 years.
I was thinking of an angel. That was the part I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Or in
god.
or in Twilight when that creepy little baby pops out.
Yeah, babies are like, we don't have time to wait around for you to grow up, so just do it unnaturally.
Yeah. Oh god. No, Shita, I forbid it. If that happens, I'm quitting the podcast.
How else is his body gonna be healed?
I'm not dignifying that with a response. Magic is the answer.
Well, Brandon Sanderson does hard magic, so he has to have rules.
Yeah, the rules are easy. The Atlantrians can do pretty much anything with the right knowledge. You could make anything, I assume, because you have the energy. You have access to the energy. You know what? I'm coming back. I'm leaving this Jesus plot because I hate where it went. It's just gonna be they learn the powers. The pool is involved in some way because they learn that it's actually some specific energy source that's throughout all life. Something. I don't know. I got nothing. I'm out, Joe. I'm tapping out. Put an end to Shita's tirades.
Okay, we will. I guess we'll go into the characters and quotes of the week.
Well, my absolute favorite character of the week is definitely Sarene. How do you say it, Sheta?
Nolan.
Nolan. Nolan. I loved him from the second he came out. Everything he did, I loved so much. He was such an asshole and so haughty and everything.
I knew you'd like him.
This isn't my quote of the week, but I love this quote that she says about him, where...
Why are you saying it if it's not your quote? What if
is
it's
this
my
your
quote?
Is your quote about him, Sheta?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then I'll let you say yours.
I'll just...
No, I'll wait, and
Yeah.
if you didn't, then I'll say it.
It's probably the quote.
Yeah. But no, he was my favorite. I loved him a lot.
Yes. This describing... Oh, can I do it, Joe? In order, and not... It's not in order, though.
No, you have to do a character.
Okay, see?
Otherwise, you'll get a demerit.
Okay. And I did not get an inspiration today, so I can't.
Oh yeah, I didn't use my inspiration. Damn it. Well, just when he, I'll say the other part that's not really a quote. Just when you said it earlier, Joe, when he's disappointed that only nobles and barons are meeting up with him, that said a lot about the character.
Yeah.
My favorite character in these was Raoden. I really liked seeing him through Sarene's point of view because he was so romantic and being all Aladdin-y and how seeing how much his people loved him and how respect him. It just really made him seem like an old time, not old timey, but a classic hero from all the movies I watched growing up. Like I feel like I haven't seen a character like that for so long. They always have these flaws or like,
Well, they're always actually the bad guy in modern stories, you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's just nice to see a genuinely nice guy. Like
traditional hero, you're saying, right?
Yeah, traditional. Like no kind of catch or anything about him.
Well, except the zombie skin. But the kind of guy that a girl would fall in love with immediately too, right?
Yeah, he's just main character material, that's all. Like hero of the book. And an honorable mention for Galadin for being a funny third wheel best friend type. Because I always saw him like that, like a really guy's best friend kind of thing. And he was really like that in these chapters. I especially liked when Raoden had his nightmare spasms and Galadin said Raoden's name for the first time instead of calling him Suli. He said, Raoden, are you okay? And it was very cute. Okay. Joe?
Character of the week, I'll probably go with Sarene. Just, enjoyed her first, all the talking about the patriarch and everything I thought was pretty funny. Then her becomes in the city and just seeing how everything that she tried to screw them over with, how they just turned it all around and realizing, oh man, these people are, I done fucked up.
I was really glad for that part because I was so pissed at her for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I was glad she had to feel that.
And just the other, just character building stuff where, she tried to learn the Aeons from Raoden, but it wasn't working for her, and she wound up just starting to go through, political books in the library.
I like that too, where she's like the type of person that if she's not immediately really good at something, just like, oh, I'm not doing that.
No, she wasn't like that because she was really good at it, She really got it. He's like, she's doing it correctly. It's just not working,
She's just not an Elantrian, so she can't do it.
Yeah,
Another hint that there's that she doesn't have the Sheod, but Raoden just overlooks it. All right. Now we'll go to the
where Raoden's looking. That's all I'm saying.
That Elantrian baldy head.
Well, she wears the little scarf on the top of her head.
Sheta, you do your quote first since you already gave away part of what it is.
Okay. Well, it's when Sarene comes on shore and they were getting descriptions of what he's like. His face bore the benevolently tolerant smile of one who wanted you to know that he was patient with your inferiority. That's very specific.
Yeah, it is. Really, really painted a picture of him. That was the exact line I was going to say. Yeah.
Yep. It was really good. Like, yes. The little
That
people.
was what made me like him. That and the long, pretty blonde hair and the
Yeah.
ridiculous robes.
Also that he's no more than 40, but he tries to make himself more aged and wise so that
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
He's
so
my
excited to
beloved Sheta.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I did not think we would get someone more dramatic than Hrathen though. Like theatrical and dramatic, but he is just way more.
So wait, he's with the other religion, right? Is he going to have to team up with our guys then, since the city's fallen to the one god, you know? Is he going to be part of the cool club?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but that'd be awesome.
He's gonna be their new ally. That would be great. Yeah, no, I'm so excited to cast him though.
Ah, I lost my page.
You're looking for it, I'll do a quote. All right. There was something in the eyes of those nobles. Raoden had been the first king of Erelon. His rule, short though it had been, the beginning of a tradition. People would recall Raoden's name for centuries, and children would be taught how he had risen to power in a land whose gods were dead. Should anyone have been surprised that he had turned to the mysteries? With all he had seen, of pre-Raoden Elantris, the death of an era thought eternal, was it any wonder he sought to control the chaos that same in the land of the gods? Sarene thought she understood Raoden a little bit better, standing in the chill dampness, watching the dirt slowly envelop his coffin. I just thought it was interesting just going over, Raoden's, legacy and everything on there, even though he was, doing terrible things with kidnapping people, murdering them and stuff. Sarene was still, looking at it, thinking that he had a reason for doing it, even if it was bad, and that he will still have a legacy since he was the first king Elantris fell.
Mm. That was really interesting too, and what they were saying about how he is going to go down as making such a wise decision when he passed. That was, yeah, I didn't expect him to get such a dignified legacy. Here's my quote that I liked. Raoden smiled. The dirt and grime was becoming repulsive to him again. For a while, he had almost forgotten how disgusting it was. Which I liked because it's showing just how much of a difference doing this cleaning is and everything. Because he's been living, and everyone else, because of what he's been doing, has been living in a world where you actually notice when you're covered in slime. Where before, they're just covered in that disgusting crap all the time, to the point where you don't even think about it. I think it really, really showed what a good influence he's had on all the people, and how happy he is to feel disgust again, where he had not felt that for probably the whole time he'd been in here. Well, besides the first week or so.
Yeah. Like when you go somewhere uncomfortable and you're like, oh man, so I was comfortable all this time. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's nice.
Exactly.
Like when
Yeah.
you get back from camping, you're like, oh, thank God I'm in a house. Like
Yep. But the reverse version, where you've been out camping for years and then you get to a house and to enough that you forget how horrible it is outside.
Mhm.
Or like the Michael Jackson Bad music video. He goes to the nice school, then comes back to the, he realizes, I don't want to be in this gang and help these people rob this old man.
Yep. That's an example too.
Just like that. Yep.
It actually, I mean, yeah, it is. You go, I also think of the part in Walking Dead when he realizes happily how bored he is because they've had a few moments, like enough time of peace to be bored again. I just like those moments. They really put things into perspective for your life.
Yeah, it really tells a person's experience when you know that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, you can relate with that. And it's like, yeah.
Well, it's things we take for granted, Like, we really take for granted that we're not in filth at all times, Or in whatever the metaphor of filth would be. And that we should try to enjoy that.
All right. So, guess I'll go over next week's chapters. So, you know how we did 9 this week? Well,
Oh,
we'll up
God.
that. We'll up that next week, and we're going with 10 chapters.
So what I'm hearing is I'm not going to get to see a lot of really long insights into Hrathen's mental state. Okay, gotcha.
We get enough with just his little comments and things.
I when we were going through, I saw his chapter wasn't a page and a half. It was one page split across 2 pages. I don't even think it was a full page worth of words.
No, it's not a page.
I was so sad.
Like, that's the one that I really felt like they could have, like, doesn't need to be in there. Like, right after the wedding where he just sees oh, those people are upset, and he looks at Telri. Yep, we did it.
Well, like Sheta said, it was cool to see them through his perspective. But yes, if you were gutting this book, you could get rid of that.
Oh yeah, no, I love that scene.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Well, I'm not saying that, because if it
For the
didn't follow
narrative, right?
the 3-character structure, that's something that easily could have been, you leave that, you go to just Sarene being put in the city, and you focus on Sarene and Raoden. Then when you next time you show up and look at Hrathen outside the city, that could be the beginning of a chapter where he thinks back on what happened afterwards.
But then he couldn't say, "Such are the judgments of Holy Jedith."
Oh yeah, that part was cool. I forgot to comment.
He's like, he says that out loud. Like, he's so dramatic.
That's why he's awesome.
Like,
God, I hope he makes it out alive and gets a spin-off book.
But yeah, next week's chapters will be 45 through 54.
Oh God, what
Like
the hell's wrong with you?
10 chapters. Well,
chapters in quotes, right? Like,
well, here's the thing. Look at the book. Look how much is left. It's not like there's that much left. And you have, like, many pages of, like, deleted scenes as part of that.
Oh God. So we'll do that, and then after that you'll be like, all right, and just wait the one last chapter, and that'll be it.
Are we gonna go over the deleted scenes?
No. Like,
okay.
I don't really think it's necessary to really go into them, because otherwise then when you think back on it, some of those might mesh together with the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so 10 chapters next week.
Now I'm going to think that Raoden does have a brother, though.
Maybe he does. They never said he didn't.
Well, the thing is that originally there were references to him throughout the book.
Yeah, I assumed so, yeah.
Those are all removed.
I don't think that would have been out of nowhere. That would have been just stupid.
And then I'll also do my weekly reminder of everyone that just because we're almost done, 2 more episodes of this before we go on to a short story in Arcanum Unbounded. So be sure you pick that up. Arcanum Unbounded.
Sure.
And then after that, we'll be going on to Mistborn, the Final Empire. Could be called that. Might be called simply Mistborn. Or
that goes with my theory.
Or if you pick up like a box set of, the Mistborn, trilogy, that could also work. That's those 2 things. Arcanum Unbounded, Final Empire. That will come up, after we finish Elantris. All right. And then we'll just go on to some plugs if you 2 want to plug your stuff.
Now that I'm Patreoning, I'm very serious about these plugs now. I'm going to do no holds barred. Go to my Instagram and Twitter, and then go to my Patreon at Profanity Beaver, and then give me money.
I just tell them to go to your link tree.
Oh, go to my link tree. Does my link tree have a what? Yeah, I think it's just linktree/Profanity Beaver, something like that. You'll figure it out. Best promo ever.
Go figure it out.
Give you half the information, you figure out the rest.
Wow. He doesn't mean that. He means it very humbly, actually. Mine, same. Sheta_low on Instagram. I'm working on a cosplay right now, so hopefully I'll have some videos and reels up there of me making it. If you like One Piece or Kaguya-sama, then check out that.
All right.
That's it.
Cosmere Chronicles. You can follow our, go to Key, a most ancient letter. Follow us on there at Cosmere Chron, CosmereChron. Maybe I'll start trying to put other stuff besides just saying new episode out. Yeah, there's a YouTube page. You could also go on there and leave comments on the videos. Do the typical, give us 5 stars, leave a review, that sort of stuff, so that way we can read it and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you need to email us, cosmerechronicles@gmail.com. And, in case if you have any comments, you can send it there. If you want to straight up just give me money personally, just on there.
Wait, you're going to keep all the money to yourself?
No, if they say this is only for the host, he's the only one doing a good job.
Only the Joe that introduces Joe, though.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
This Joe.
But Yep, I think that's all we'll have for you all this week. Once again, chapters 45 through 54 for next week. All right. Until then, everyone, have fun.
Sayonara.
Bye.